Hello and welcome to Tech 18. I'm Mohammad Adnan, and in this video we are going to discuss about how we can connect to three different data sources in one single Power BI file and also build a real-time dashboard. So we are going to connect Fabric SQL, OneLake and KQL Database, all of them into one single Power BI file. Before going to that in detail, if you are new to this channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, just click on the subscribe button and also press the bell icon to get the latest notifications. Because as per YouTube analytics, almost 92% of my viewers are not my subscriber. That is a really big number. I request you all please subscribe to my channel, like and share this video with others so that they can also learn what I'm teaching. Okay, I hope you already covered the previous video series on this particular course, which is KQL Real-Time Intelligence. If you haven't, I request you to go and check out those videos in the sequence so that you can understand what I'm actually talking about. So right now I have shared my screen and I'm opening up a new Power BI file, which is Power BI and blank report. Usually I recommend you to have a latest version of Power BI. If your company doesn't allow that, then you can check with your IT team for at least the minimum latest version. So right now I'm using up here, as you can see, which is November 2024 version. That should be fine. As you can see on this Power BI file, we have three different colors here, which is one is a dark blue, another is an orange color, and the third one is gray, and also there is nothing here. So what about these things? As you can see here, this is coming from machine fault master, SQL database server showing up here. But if you just read out the server name, it's showing up here database.fabric.com, and here it is showing up here database.warehouse.com, and on the right hand side it is showing up here custo.fabric.microsoft.com. So you might have now just heard about, understand what is showing up here. This is the KQL database, and this is warehouse, which is, I'm not using warehouse here. I'm using here SQL endpoint connection of a Lakehouse. Behind the scene it's actually a warehouse, so that's why it's showing up here name data.warehouse.com, and for this one, this is coming from Fabric SQL, so it is showing up here database.fabric.com. That's really cool. So this is easy to identify from where the source is coming from. And also there is a blank here, which is showing up here as an import mode. So all these three things are direct query, and only this date table which I manually added into the Power BI file, that's why it is showing up here as an import mode. That's why there is no bars on the top. That's cool. So now as we need to get those connections, how we can connect into Power BI. So I'm just opening up here the blank file. I will just quickly go through the connections and then we'll take it further. So first of all, we need to go to your Power BI service. Make sure you have access to those things. So right now I'm into my Fabric OneLake here. As you can see, we have these many tables, but mainly we are going to use only this particular table, IoT _ sensor _ log. If you want to know about how I have added this table here into the Lakehouse, please go and check out the previous videos on this series. First of all, we need to go on the top right. Instead of Lakehouse, we need to go here SQL Analytics Endpoint. So as a new update here, as I'm recording this video, as you can see it on the top, we have this metadata sync here. This is a new addition added from Microsoft here. As whenever you open up here the SQL endpoint, it will actually load the metadata automatically, which will help as a trigger. But if you want to manually update the metadata between your Lakehouse and the SQL endpoint, you can just click here manually also. So this is how you can go to this SQL endpoint from Fabric here. Even though this is nothing to do with the connection in Power BI, I just wanted to show you this OneLake here. And let's go to this Power BI. On this home tab, you have this option about OneLake Data Hub here. So just click here and then search for all your related things here. I just need here the Lakehouse, so I can just click on the Lakehouses here. So once I click on that, the name of the Lakehouse here is Lakehouse _ machine 01. So LH machine 01, which is on this particular thing. So this is showing up here as an Lakehouse. So if you click here, then this will give the list of available details here. But I just want to show you one thing here. Actually, instead of tables, I'm actually connecting here the SQL view here. So directly you can see view _ IoT _ sensor log. So how I created this one, I just quickly show you here. Click here, new query, and then create. This is nothing but create views of this particular, select star, comma, and then I'm adding up an additional date time into this particular thing. So that's the only addition here. So nothing more than that here. If I quickly click here and run this one, this will give the available all these SQL tables, and plus it's going to add a new column which is timestamp underscore date. That's an additional column which it will add here. Yeah, on the right hand side you can see it is adding up here. Let me check the zoom here. 125. Yeah, this should be fine. So this is basically the table, and this is the view which I added, IoT underscore sensor underscore logs. So basically this is the last column which you can see it on this one. So let's explore this one. Maybe because of the resolution which I changed. Yeah, that's the reason. So you can see the last column which is showing up here, timestamp underscore date, which is this one. This is a simple SQL view, and this I need to connect into Lakehouse. Now if I go to Power BI and look for this Lakehouse connection, which is the same Lakehouse, but this is the Lakehouse, not the SQL endpoint connection. And here you can see here, connect or connect to SQL endpoint. So if I click on connect, just as an example, let's see what it shows here. Based on my login and authentication, it will load this information. So just make sure that you have the required connections with you or not. So it is showing up here, connected live to Power BI semantic model on this part, and I don't see any tables here, because of the reason is the manage default semantic model is actually set to not sync. If I click on this one, you see the select all option is disabled here. I mean, I uncheck all these options because I don't want this manual default semantic model to be refreshed automatically, because that's an additional load to our capacity. So to avoid that, I'm just here uncheck all these features here, because I know what I'm doing here, what's my requirement as well. So I thought to create a new semantic model as well. That comes under the best practices as well. So you can create a new semantic model, and this semantic model you can connect to your Power BI report for that. So that's the purpose of that. But right now what you can do here, I will just go here, file, and create a new file again. Let me close this one. I made a separate video about this one, what is the management of this default semantic model and all. If you haven't seen that, just go and check out those videos as well. Alright, coming back here, the new Power BI file. So clicking on One Lake Hub, and then here you can use Power BI semantic model here. So once you click on that, or else you can also click on directly the same way, Lakehouses here. So click on One Lake Data Hub and then click on Lakehouses. Selecting the same Lakehouse, here now instead of using connect, I am using here connect to SQL endpoint. Right now this is connecting to SQL endpoint for the same Lakehouse, and you can see all these tables, views, and default inbuilt tables and views, which everything is showing up here. And here I need the one which I need, view IoT sensor log. This is the view which I need. I can just click here and then click on load, and now this will ask me about what is the type of connection I need, import or direct query. So I just want this to be a direct query. Click on OK here. So the new table is being added onto this one. That's really cool. Now moving on to the next one, which is KQL. So selecting again One Lake Data Hub, and here this time I would like to select here KQL databases here. There is no surprise on this KQL database, how we are seen on the One Lake. Here you need to select here KQL machine 01, that's the same location, which is the workspace name, and then click on connect here. So the tables whatever you have, so it will show up here. I think we have only one table, yeah, which is machine log 01, and this is again I'm going to load here directly without any transformations, and also in import mode, which is the direct query mode. So right now this is giving me a message because I am using the Lakehouse as well as this KQL database, because these are two different sources. So that's the reason this is giving you a message here. You can just read through it and then click on OK. So right now this is adding up two different sources now, and the third one which we need to add here is SQL database here. How we can connect that, I think I have shown you in the last video as well, but I will quickly show you that here as well. So in the SQL view, SQL, if I expand this one, I have these many tables here. Right, so these 5 tables I need that. I used here Dataflow Gen 2 and loaded into Fabric SQL. I also made a separate videos on that. Please go and check out that as well. And here if I click on open and then click on Management Studio, this will give you here server name and database name. This is the thing which we need to add. Copy here and then go to get data here and then click on SQL Server. As simple as that. This is similar to the SQL Server connection, and click on paste here. Make sure to copy paste everything here. You don't need to skip anything, even though the database name here SQL machine 01, but still you need to copy this GUID ID as well. So copy here and paste here, And this also I would like to keep this as a direct query itself and click on OK. And here whatever the tables which we need, I need to pick from these tables here. Alright, I just need team master here, technician master and ERP logs kind of thing. And then click on load here. This also in the direct query itself. It depends on your requirement, whatever you want. If you need it in import mode or direct query, you want to do manual refresh, everything is up to you, you can do that. So now going into relationship here, as you can see it is showing up here everything. If I reset this layout, you can see 3 different colors here, so which is basically coming from 3 different sources. That's what we are seeing. So if you want to add a relationship here between all these things, so for example this device name and device name, you can just drag and drop here. Basically I created here master tables, and from that it's going to create all the relationships here. I will quickly go through here in the existing Power BI file how I added all these relationships here, because I don't want to repeat the same step again here. Okay, so here the dates, which I will talk about that in a moment. So the machine master is the main master here. So let's add up here the machine master in a new view, and then click on these 3 dots and then click on add related table. If there is an existing relationship, then this will bring up all the tables all together here. As you can see, this machine master is added here from 3 different sources. You can see it from 3 different colors, which is the KQL and also the history tables and also the existing logs here. Lakehouse and SQL endpoint. Sorry, SQL database here. This is connected to machine and machine ID, and also here machine and machine ID. This is here the device name. Okay, and here it's connected to device name and machine ID. So this is the ID which is referring from that table to this table. Typical relationship in Power BI. Okay, so now let me quickly tell you what is the purpose of these tables here. This CMMS logs is nothing but the maintenance required. What is it, who is the technician and what is the repair cost and what is the defect, all those things is being manually maintained these days. So this can be automated via system process here. So that's the purpose of this table. And the next one here what we have is ERP logs, which is nothing but the transactional database like production input and output, what is happening on the production line. So all these things information you can capture it here. And the third thing here is KQL machine logs and history IoT sensor logs. So these two are the similar stuff, which is basically the KQL is this real-time data, which is the recent 7 days of the data, and whatever data we have after 7 days, we are actually moving into one lake. As a kind of retention policy, we are deleting all this KQL data, and then before deleting that information, we are moving actual data into one lake storage here, because to have the data and reduce the cost as well. KQL is going to be expensive for us, so we need to keep as much as little as possible in KQL. I made a separate video about that itself, KQL injection detail. I made a separate video on the KQL injection process and the retention policies. I recommend you to go and check out that video to clearly understand about that functionality here. Alright, this is quickly we have done that. And the next step here is an import mode, which is basically a DAX table which I usually added here. There are a lot of DAX available in the market about the calendar table. If you want to import your own calendar table, you can also do that in a regular manner itself. So this is basically a date table. I have added a column here which is using the calendar, start from 2023 January onwards, and today plus 5 days I am adding up here. So basically I am adding up additional column, year equal to year date and year month, all these formats here. If I click on this one and then click on dates table, you can see the output here, day, date, year, month and all those things here. So with the help of these things, I added a relationship between the date table. If I add another table, another page and then click on add related table, here you can see it is connected to ERP log and then history here and also KQL logs and CMMS logs here. So all these tables is added here into this one because I need to filter one date and it has to filter on all these other tables as well. So that's the purpose I am using up here, this Power BI file. Now let's move on to the main picture. So how we need to build this one. So before building this one, as you can see, let me run this Python script here so that it can generate and give the live data here. So before building into this one, we have added the data, we have created the relationship here, and also now we need to build the measures. So whatever the metrics we need to build up here so that it can load it into this one. As you can see, it is changing the data on this page. So as an example, let's take for the temperature here. So if I click here, what is the measure which I added onto this one, which is current temperature and then maximum temperature and minimum temperature here. So if I click on this field one, I added a measure table and real-time monitoring KPI, which is current temperature here. So this current temperature is actually coming up from this table, which is max of KQL machine logs temperature, and which is the top n I'm taking up here and showing up on this particular chart. So I just want to take this current temperature, the top one record, because KQL actually is storing up here for 7 days. So I'm just taking all the data and then filtering it to be just one record and then showing up here. You can aggregate the data within the KQL and use that KQL data here directly into Power BI. That's also possible. I made a separate videos on that as well, how you can aggregate those KQL statements, filter the data and all those things. But here for this demo, I'm directly using the table itself. So similar to this one, and here you can see I'm using up here an other function, which is an average temperature, which is nothing but average temperature of showing up here history and KQL database here. Why I'm using up here from two different tables is here. The reason why I'm adding up here two information is for the recent 7 days, we'll have the data in the KQL. It is not going to available in our OneLake. But after 7 days, data is not going to available in KQL, but it is going to available in OneLake storage. So even if I add those things, it's again going to give you this average itself. But how can we do this kind of things? I made a separate videos on that. Please go and check out that as well. Sorry if I'm repeating it many times about, you need to go and check out that previous video, because this is a continuous series and you need to get well aware of the sequence of process which I have done here. That's why I'm keep on repeatedly telling you that you need to watch out those videos as well. Okay, so this is a quick which we added here, right? And then let's take an example of this one itself, because if you see here, this is also actually changing the values here. Actually changing in real time, because this particular data which is coming up from this KQL is actually changing up on the real time. So how I did that, basically it's plain simple. No need to worry about that. So it's not a major thing. If I open up here, click on anywhere in the blank of this page, and then in the page format pane, you have the page refresh option. So just turn this on, and I use here change detection here. So you can also have an auto page refresh. You can refresh every 10 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever you define here. But here in particular thing, I just use here change detection here. So if I select here every auto page refresh, and this has to be like every 10 seconds, whether the data is going to come here or not, is going to refresh, keep on refreshing the thing. Whereas if I select on change detection, then here we have an option about edit change connection detection. So if I click on this one, this is going to ask me about what is the particular column which you are looking for to check the change detection here. Here right now we are looking for the KQL data itself. So we can just pick up this column from this KQL table here, which is nothing but change detection maximum for timestamp. So for every 10 seconds, this is an existing measure here which I added here, which is nothing but a change detection maximum for timestamps. Max of KQL logs timestamp. That's a column in the KQL table, timestamp, and it's checking up the maximum value. So timestamp is maximum, is any changes, then it will going to refresh the data every 10 seconds. It will just every 10 seconds will check the value. If the value gets changed, then it will refresh this visuals and the entire page itself. So this is for the particular page refresh. Okay, so what else you need? So you just need to build the keep on metrics based on your need here, and then you can manipulate your data how you want to present it here into visual level here. I don't want to go into detail about what are the metrics and what is this formula and everything behind the scene. You can anyway going to check on the web, or also you can check with your business people. They can also guide you about the logic and metrics here. So the simple thing is, the concept which I want to showcase in this entire project is like you can build this one real time into Power BI. Now one more thing which is pending here is an entry part. So which is basically, as you can see on this screen, this is showing up here directly. As you can see, this is not a form, basically this is a real time Power BI itself. As you can see, we have this toe cap molding. If I change this any one machine here, like for example cutting here, and it's showing up here all the pending information which our maintenance team has to fill the information. What is the reason for this repair cost? So totally you can see we have 103 records here, and this is a primary machine name which I selected here, and you can select the number of transaction records. For example, if I select here, and any one technician is going to work on this particular problem, they can select here like James Smith, and they can select the reasons for that. These are all coming from the master tables. For example, temper sensor fault, that's the reason of this fault. And also they can fill the repair cost here. If there is a cost involved to that, you can also fill that information. For example, I'm feeding up here as a 10 here, and then click on update record. As I'm into Power BI desktop, I just need to use click control, but in Power BI service you can just click on this just itself. This is now going to trigger here, and this is the current date, and it's going to remove from this stage here. If I just click on this particular page and then go back and come back here, then if I go to this overview page, this is what Jane Smith is showing up here, which is basically the repair cost. Why it is showing up in bulk is because this is by the downtime, and it has taken a lot of time. I use this here as previous day. If I come back here, I think this was happened on 12/12, and right now it is 1 January, so that's a long period, and because of that it's showing up here. If I click here, I think I need to refresh this particular page. Maybe then only it will come up here. So if I just click on the refresh, I think it is good to show up here in Power BI service, not on this Power BI desktop, because it's not doing the thing as expected here. So let's again select here now after refreshing cutting machine 1, and then select here. As you can see, the is not available here. That's the number which I added here. It means it is being corrected and rectified. So totally they have 105 alerts triggered here. So if I click on the start time and ascending or descending order, if there is a new entry happening which is today, then this will show up here, but as of now it is not available. Even if I remove this cutting machine 1, as you can see the cutting machine, yeah, it is actually added here. Because of this filter, it's actually showing up here. So cutting machine 1, it is added this many entries for today. As the data is actually populating from this Python script, I just need to cancel this one now. Okay, so this is how you can able to build this Power BI report, connect to 3 different data sources, and then use your page refresh, auto page refresh, and then you need to build your measures and then use auto page refresh with the change detection, so that it can refresh every 10 or 15 seconds what's your frequency. And also you can build up here the entry screen where you can use all these parameters and then use Power Automate for that. I will cover you the details about how you can do this in Power Automate in the next video. So until then, keep watching. See you in the next video.